Till, brutally murdered, 14-year-old boy, Mississippi, visiting from Chicago. He was beaten so badly, his mother had an open casket, and the printing of those photographs set forth Rosa Parks, followed by the Birmingham hoses and dogs placed on people, and white people got to see what we're seeing today with George Floyd. We really, white people, lose the history of Marcus Garvey, the Back to America movement, because so many of the leaders of any kind of rebellious tradition within the African American community were almost all killed. We know our heroes. They mostly live to the end of their lives. Most of the people who are radicals do not. That's the truth of this country. African Americans at this point in time begun to move into the cities. There was the Harlem Revolution, or the Renaissance as they call it. We remember Jackie Robinson breaking the color line, the Little Rock Nine, all opposed every step of the way. Even now, every step of the way to fair policing opposed. The civil rights movement is something more or less familiar to us. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, voting barriers taken down, legal barriers taken down. It could seriously be argued that the civil rights movement did nothing more than restore the rights to citizenry that were designed to be established at the end of the Civil War. That is a sadness we should feel. At the end of the civil rights movement, there was tiredness. Families were pitted against each other with Vietnam. It was a difficult time. It was a cultural, generational time. Vietnam was demanding our attention. Our relationships were strained. The politics had pushed and pulled as they always do. We were tired again. So after a period of positive change, and there was an expression of a war on poverty and a Kerner Commission to look into the structural racism stuff that we're just looking at now again, they were paused. What followed was about 40 to 50 years of a return to crime and punishment leadership. Started by Nixon, moved through the Reagans, war on drugs, moved straight through Clinton, who built the infrastructure of the modern court system and prison system. To this day, right now as we stand, economically, blacks and whites are almost exactly in the positions they were in the mid to late 50s. The disproportionate set of income, in particular, of wealth, I should say. African American families who even earn a median income of about $100,000 still generally live in areas where the average income of that place is $54,000. African Americans have been redlined. As the story goes, the statistics show that in areas where there are white people can generally tolerate about 20% of African Americans moving into the neighborhood. When that number climbs above 20%, white families stop moving in. When more than 20% of the population is African American and particularly gets to 30, white families move out. How do you build wealth when white people see black people as a loss of income? Did you know that schools are about as segregated as they were in the early 70s right now? And there has never been a time in our nation's history when the 12% of the population of students in our country, African American kids, were ever in schools that were more than 50% integrated. Not integrated, but where there were more white people given the proportion than blacks. Never. Never have blacks, essentially children, not gone to school with other black kids. Heavy stuff. You don't have to love rap music. You don't have to love every cultural decision African Americans have ever made to know that your part in that is to see it. We're working to see that. And there's an antsiness among our conversations to do something. And certainly something is necessary, and no doubt conversations about reparations and policing are right on the edge of the tongue of everyone and the edge of our politics as we speak. But I think working for all of us more broadly to uncover our own hidden white supremacists and the decisions we make about housing and these passive decisions we make about where we live and who our friends are need to be placed on the table as questions about how much we embrace a full humanity. I hadn't known before how passively and politely racist I was, how privileged my position was until I started to really look at it. We in this country have an opportunity to do justice for the 12 to 13% of Americans that have reluctantly been left behind. As Doc Rivers, the coach of the LA Clippers, said, tears in his eyes at the latest shooting of Jacob Blake, he said, "We've loved this country and they don't love us back. Let's change that. Let's push forward conversations for a more complete justice and for reparations." Amen. And now for something a little bit light, probably well-deserved. There was a person commissioned to paint one of these classic white steeples you'd see more in England than here. And the person's painting and up in one of these little harnesses and doesn't want to come down, but the person's running out of paint. Difficult to get more paint. Starts to add a little paint thinner. Comes down, getting to the base of the steeple, it's widening out. Uses up all the paint that he has, comes down, looks up and realizes how much worse it looks, how much unpainted the bottom of the steeple looks. When all of a sudden from the sky comes this statement, from God, one presumes. It said, "Repaint and thin no more." Give generously for the life and work of this church. Please take a peek on how you can donate, which should be in our visual. If not, please go to our website. Thank you. Amen.
This is a song by Robert Schumann called Am Leuchten. Am leuchtenden Sommermorgen geh ich im Garten herum. Es flüstern und sprechen die Blumen. Ich aber wandle stumm. Es flüstern und sprechen die Blumen und schauen mitleidig mich an. Sei unsere Schwester nicht böse, du traurige Blasermann.
May we all know that this church is dedicated to the proposition that behind all of our differences and beneath all of our diversity, there is a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity.
May the blessings of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. God's presence illuminate your hearts now and forevermore. So be it. Amen. Shalom. Salam. Namaste. Blessed be. And as we steal from the may our service truly begin. Thanks for being here.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Oh, connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. The lovers, the dreamers, and me. Oh, the lovers, the dreamers, and me.
Thank you for coming.